Coinbase transparency report shows that the United States leads the way in Bitcoin user data monitoring. Major cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase has released its latest transparency report, providing data on customer information requests it received from government and law enforcement agencies between July 1st, 2020 and December 30th, 2020. Among the insights into who requested user information from Coinbase, the United States remains the most interested in tracking the activity of Bitcoin traders. While Coinbase facilitates the trading of many cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin makes up more than 12% and $1 billion worth of its volume. Josh Shigala, what are your thoughts on the United States' apparently large interest in users of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin?
Well, you go around the world starting wars of aggression to promote freedom. And then you got to crush the freedom back home, got to crush it, got to make sure. And also, that they're not looking at the transactions to try and bust baddies. They're there just to get their cut because some people aren't paying their cut. And so that's what they're there for, to look for their taxes, not because someone's selling something illegal or doing something illegal on the dark markets. So, that's my take. I have no real proof of that, but that's most likely what it is. I just find it unfortunate that they aren't focusing on other things like actually promoting the use of currency or digital currencies rather than sort of destroying it with ridiculous regulations like the New York agreement, the New York bit license and such. That's where that focus should go, not this ridiculous spying.
Private eyes, they're watching you. They see your every move. Adam McBride.
Love that song. Hall and Oates, baby. It's you know what it's about for me? Of course, the IRS and all the agencies within the U.S. government absolutely love having Coinbase, where they can go to one entity and get all their information and data. And I laid a bet on Coinbase. Coinbase dumped this week, and not financial advice, but I'm giving you financial advice. Buy Coinbase, because the reality is the U.S. government, if you believe the U.S. government's going to be around, and there are a lot of Bitcoiners who don't believe it, but I believe it will be around, they want an agency that they can control and a market that they can control and look at and make sure they're getting their fair share of taxes, as Josh said. And I think Coinbase, being the first and being the biggest, is probably going to be the winner in that space. And so if you look at it from that perspective, Coinbase wants more regulation. We just talked about regulation coming in the space. Is the government of the United States going to want to come in and regulate and control the entire crypto space? Yes, they are. And Coinbase is going to be right there, because what happens when you come in and you regulate a space? Only the big players can survive. Small players can't come in. It takes too much money, too much energy, too many bodies. And so who's going to be the winner when that happens? There's probably only going to be one or two winners. And so Coinbase, take a look at the stock price today.
Crypto Raptor.
I think what's interesting is that that it says, like, one of the statements in there is that while Bitcoin facilitates the trading of many cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin makes up more than 12% of its volume. More than 12% is nothing, isn't it? It kind of goes to show how much money is in shitcoins. Let's face it. That's why people list so many shitcoins, is because whilst Bitcoin is King Dean, Queen Dean, as it were, being fair and social with that, the fact is that shitcoins make a lot of money for these companies, and they've got the standard acceleration of like, oh, this is priced less than Bitcoin, because nothing's priced at like 54K or 56K or whatever it is now. It's crazy money. So everyone's coming in and they look at these other currencies. What also I think something that's quite reassuring, not that I would have any issue, is that it says like US law enforcement agencies made some 1,197 requests for user information. That's really low. I think that it just sounds like it's extremely low. Considering how many people that probably are millionaires that are using Coinbase in the US, and even say the next most law enforcement request was from the UK at 597. So it's kind of reassuring in the way that it's not a complete all-out assault on across the board. We want everyone's details who have made X amount of money out of Coinbase. But at the same time, it kind of it does still suggest that it's not being used for people's good. It's not. It's like the safety camera fallacy, where they started putting safety cameras up, car safety cameras up everywhere where there weren't accidents. It became a money making thing. It was and as Adam said, like you want all of the money in one place where you can regulate it, and you've got one person to knock on the door of and say, hey, give us access to all that data. So it's kind of a shame, unfortunately, that people's privacy doesn't. The government can just peek in, etc. I can understand why people want the ability for governments to peek in from a safety perspective, but we keep on going over this. Where do you draw the line at people's transparency? Should all of our conversations ever be regulated? Because at the end of the day, if you can prevent, it's like that Minority Report thing, if you can prevent something bad from happening before it's even happened, then surely you should just end the person at birth because they've got a gene that does something. And where do you stop? Where does it end? Blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't know. I think that Coinbase it's here for the long run. They've done all the all the bits and bobs to make themselves regulated and kind of cozying up to the government and not doing, maybe because they're not as big as Apple. When Apple said, "Hey, we're not unlocking our phones for you," we're above that. Maybe you'll eventually get that to that place, but I don't know. But it's sad that unfortunately privacy loses again.
Martine Wismar.
Yeah, the report mentioned absolute numbers, and I think this gives a bit of a wrong impression, because, of course, the US is huge, with all these states, and so it's all the US states together, and so if you look at it from that perspective, if you think that countries like the UK and Germany, they're watching their people even more. Even the Netherlands, a tiny little country that most people won't be able to pinpoint on a map, had still a number of requests. And so I do like the fact that they have this transparency report, because it does show that, that it's good, just like Google publishes those takedown reports, and but I wouldn't trade, as Dan said, if there is only 10% or 12% of their trades are in Bitcoin. This is, I think, why people on the street call it shitcoin base instead of Bitcoin or Coinbase, because all these junk coins that they sell, they make money on it, but I think it's almost unethical, so they should just I don't know, I wish him well. I'm not picking up on Adam's advice to buy Coinbase shares, because I think this is full circle back to the old school way of investing, but